In this English lesson, you're going to learn 17 powerful tips to help you learn English fast. And this is going to help you no matter where in the world you live. Now, before we get into these tips, I just want to say, hi, my name is Jack from Fluency, and that I have added professional captions or subtitles to this video. So you can listen and read the captions at the same time. Or, if you prefer, just to listen to this while you do other things. And one last thing, in the description, I have left a summary of this lesson and a link to my website where you can learn more about these tips. But I've also left links to further videos and resources if you want to explore a specific tip in more depth. Okay, so let's get straight into tip number 1. The first tip is to set a goal, because people with goals succeed because they know where they are going. So people with goals succeed because they know where they are going. And goal setting has completely changed my life. And over the last 10 years especially, I've been very excited about hitting goals and achieving them. And this is really powerful. So ask yourself, do you have a goal for your English learning? Do you have a specific goal here when it comes to learning the language? If not, start thinking about this a little bit more. Ask yourself, what level do I have now? Am I a beginner? Am I an intermediate? Am I advanced? And then decide on what level you want to have and when you want to have this level. So you're not only saying, this is my goal, but you're saying, this is when I want to achieve it. Because putting a deadline on your goal ensures that you take action and that you take action now. And it also helps you do the right things. And again, if you don't have a deadline for this goal, then it doesn't give you the urgency. It doesn't make you really focus on doing this now. But if you have a deadline, then it makes you take action today. So have a goal and a deadline, and then get excited about this goal. Get motivated about this. Now, as you're going to learn, motivation isn't everything, because we need to create the habits in order to progress over the long term. But that initial motivation allows you to take action today. Tip number 2 is to ensure that you are using and practicing your English daily, that you're studying or learning or practicing your English every day. Now, if that sounds overwhelming, then know that you can just do a little bit every day. I talk about something called the 10 plus minute method, where you commit to something for 10 minutes a day, and if you want to do more, you can. If you don't, that's fine too. But doing this makes it easier to start, because you only have to commit to 10 minutes. And it creates the habit of doing something daily. And it's this daily practice, this habit of doing something every day, that is really going to help you progress quickly. Because when it comes to learning English, it's about what you do to improve and how often you do it. So it's what you do, for example, practicing your speaking, learning grammar rules, etc. That's important. We'll talk more about that soon. But it's also how often you do this as well. And by committing to daily practice, you're saying that this goal is important to me and I'm going to show up every day. This is a phrasal verb, which means I'm going to do this every day. Number 3 is to listen as much as possible. To listen to English as much as possible. Now we can talk about, and we will in a second, what to listen to. But this follows on from tip 2, because we talked about before, daily practice. Well, you can listen every day as well. And I've read lots of blog posts and met people who tell me that the reason why they learned their language is because they listened to hours and hours and hours of audio. There's a guy who has a blog. It's called All Japanese All the Time. And he talks about how he learned Japanese by listening to 10,000 hours of Japanese. And that is a lot of time. You know, if you want to multitask, if you want to get your app out, get your calculator app out, and just calculate how long it will take to do 10,000 hours of listening if you listen 5 hours a day. And you'll realize how much this is. Now again, you don't have to commit to something crazy, but instead, get in the mind frame of thinking, can I listen more? Or how can I listen to English as much as possible? Because input in English is so important. And the more you listen to English, the more you'll get used to the language and also internalize the different structures. Listening to English allows you to get used to the way people speak. And the good news is, it's easier these days to listen as much as possible because you can listen to things while doing other things. And I'm sure right now, you're probably doing something else while you're listening to me speak to you. Maybe you're cleaning the house, you're on the way to work, you're on the way to university, you're exercising, you're taking a walk, or maybe you're just lying in bed trying to get to sleep and you've decided to put on this podcast to help you sleep. But again, think about your life, how you can incorporate, which means add, listening to your daily practice, and just think about all the different situations that you can listen to English and do this as much as possible. Tip 4 is to be grateful for all the resources that you have available. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but I just want to say, when I started learning Spanish, it was very difficult to find the resources that I needed in order to learn. The only thing that I could really get was the newspaper, which was very expensive, and I didn't have access to this online. And it was very difficult to get listening resources as well, because these came in CDs that language schools had, and it was expensive to find them elsewhere. But now you have access to unlimited English audio, unlimited English lessons. It's incredible. You can read articles online for free. You can access all these different newspapers from all over the world and read blogs and read Twitter and go on social media. This is an amazing opportunity, and being thankful for this will mean that you'll take advantage of this opportunity. Tip 5 is to do what you do now, but do it in English. And if you don't live in an English-speaking country, you may feel you're at a disadvantage, that it's not as easy to learn English as somebody else who lives in the UK or lives in the US or Australia. However, you can change your environment no matter where you live. So you can turn your life into an English life. And what I mean by that is all you have to do, again, is to think about, okay, what do I do now in my native language that I can do in English instead? You can watch TV in English, watch movies in English, listen to English music. You can research the latest iPhone in English and read the reviews in English if it's something you want to buy. You can learn new things in English. You can read the news in English, change your mobile phone into English. And this makes such a difference over the long term because you're getting all of this input. You're getting all of this input from every angle all the time. So throughout your day, you'll be reading and listening and watching things in English. And after a while, it will become natural to you. And this is going to give you so much more input, which again is really important if you want to reach a high level. So think about all the things you do now that you can do in English instead. Tip number 6 is to know that native speakers don't care when you make mistakes. Now, the biggest reason why most learners I talk to don't get enough speaking practice is because they're afraid of making mistakes. They are scared that others will judge them or laugh at them. But know this, the majority of native speakers don't care if you make mistakes. It's all about making a connection and being able to express yourself. Native English speakers are used to hearing people speak English as a second language because it's the international language of most culture, or big pop culture, of travel, of business, of the internet, of social media. And therefore, native speakers constantly hear people speak from different languages in English. So they are used to hearing mistakes, hearing different accents. And most people love speaking to foreigners because they're interested in where they're from. They're interested in their accent, the way they speak. So embrace this. Embrace your accent and know that, again, native speakers don't care when you make mistakes. So don't let the fear of making mistakes hold you back, which means stop you from practicing your English. Tip number 7 is to get out of your comfort zone. Now, your comfort zone is where you feel comfortable. And it's also a place where you don't make the progress you want to make. So getting out of your comfort zone means doing things like taking that first online lesson, booking an online lesson with a language teacher and taking that first lesson. Because a lot of people are nervous about this, and it goes back a little bit to tip 6. They're afraid to make mistakes and to not speak perfect English. Another example of getting out of your comfort zone means doing something in English that takes a bit more focus and is a little bit more intentional. And we'll talk about some of the techniques soon, but things like practicing speaking and listening to your own voice. It's never comfortable to listen to your own voice. It's always a little bit strange. People don't like hearing their own voice. But in order to progress, you might have to get out of your comfort zone a little bit and take it step by step. So again, if you're thinking about booking or getting more speaking practice, then book that first English lesson online where you take 10 minutes to speak to a teacher. And the first step is just to book it, to reserve a time. Then the next step is to show up for those 10 minutes and to speak in English. And then the next step from there is to take a 30-minute lesson, and then maybe an hour lesson, and then maybe get more practice by meeting people who speak English. But you have to get out of your comfort zone, especially if you're not progressing, and especially if you're not doing the right things, because fear is holding you back. Before we talk about the next tip, just a quick question. How's it going? Are you enjoying this? If you are, then be sure to share this episode or this lesson with a friend. But let's get to tip 8 now. Tip 8 is to keep a journal. To keep a journal. Now, this means to write a diary. And I actually do this. I'm currently using Apple Notes right now to give you this lesson. I've made notes for this lesson. And I have a little section where I have my thoughts. and I have 900 entries here, where most days I'll just write down what I'm thinking and things I want to do today and things I did yesterday and any thoughts I have. Now, I recommend doing this in English as well, because it's just a great way to get that daily practice and to get writing practice. Now, I think practicing writing is such a powerful way to improve, because when you're writing, you can take your time to create sentences. There's no rush. For example, when you're in a conversation, you have to speak at a certain pace. You have to listen to what the other person is saying and respond. But when you're writing, it's all about you. There's no one else interacting with it. And you can take your time to create correct sentences. And there are a few tools here that can help you with that. You can use a general spell checker. You can put sentences into Google to see if they're correct. And then you can also use a grammar tool, a grammar writing tool, which will correct your grammar and your sentence structure. And again, I'll leave a link to this in the description for you so that you can download that. There's a free version and a paid version. And again, I use this because it helps me improve my writing, even though I'm a native speaker. But tip 8 in general is to keep a journal. Just write down your thoughts. Write down what you want to do today, what you did yesterday. It's a great way to practice the different tenses as well. Tip 9 is to avoid learning single words. Now, no matter your process for learning new vocabulary, I recommend to not focus on single words when you're learning. Instead, learn sentences and phrases. Learn sentences and phrases. So, for example, let's say you want to learn a new word, which is excited. Excited. And you learn the word in the dictionary, and you write it down, and you try to memorize it. That's learning the single word. However, let's say if you take the word excited and you write down 3 sentences. For example, I'm excited about going to the party. She was excited about seeing her. And he's going to be excited about going there. By learning those 3 sentences, you learn so much more. You learn grammar, you learn sentence structure, and you learn the word in context. So, in all of those sentences you heard excited about doing, seeing. So you know, after excited, we use about, and then we use the gerund, the ing. But if you just learned the word on its own, then you wouldn't know this. You wouldn't internalize this. So what you're doing is you're learning a new word in the context of other words, and therefore you're learning grammar and you're learning sentence structure. So learn sentences when you learn new vocabulary. Tip 10 is to focus on the English you need to know. To focus on the English you need to know. And what I mean by that is focus on words and phrases that are useful to you. And then also focus on topics that you like to speak about. So for example, if you need English for business meetings, then focus on business English phrases. And another example is if you enjoy having conversations in English about football, because you love football or soccer in American English, then learn football related phrases, because you're going to be learning the English that you're going to use. When you have conversations with people, you normally talk about things you're interested in. So learn about what you're interested in. And the good news about this is when you make English a part of your life, when you listen to things, choose things that you're interested in. So again, if you like football, then listen to football podcasts or watch YouTube videos about football. This makes learning so much more exciting, and you're actually just doing what you normally do, but you're doing it in English, like we learned about before. But also, for this tip, focus on commonly used phrases that you're going to use again and again, because it just makes it so much more efficient. If you're learning phrases that you're never going to use, then you're not completely wasting your time, but you're not being more efficient with your learning. And a lot of what we've talked about is being efficient because you have limited time. So learn the vocabulary you're going to use, learn commonly used phrases, and also learn the topic of English that you're going to talk about and that you're going to use in the future. Tip 11. Don't worry about grammar rules. Don't worry about them. Don't worry about grammar rules. Or don't worry completely about grammar rules, because what I'm about to say may shock you. But if I asked 10 of my friends to give me an example of the second conditional, at least 9 and probably 10 wouldn't be able to do it. If I said, okay, give me an example of a second conditional sentence, they'd look at me and think, I've no idea what you're talking about. However, all 10 of these friends use the second conditional all the time. They know how to use it. They know how to form sentences. They know how to use the correct grammar. They know how to use it in the right context because they have internalized it. They have internalized these structures, but they can't explain them. And the way they've done that is through number 9, by learning sentences, because native speakers learn through sentences too, and also through tip 12, which we'll talk about in a second. Now, it's okay to learn grammar, to know the rules, but no, in order to use them correctly, you're going to have to internalize grammar. You're going to have to reach the stage where it just feels right, where it comes out of your mouth and you're not thinking about the rules. And this is a stage you want to reach. This is a stage where you want to be as an English learner. Now, you're probably excited about tip 12 because I just mentioned it. And it's this: repetition is key. Repetition is key. Repetition is key. I always make that joke. But basically, what we're saying here is, instead of learning the rules of grammar, if you repeat a sentence again and again and again, and if you see similar sentences and you repeat them and hear them and see them again and again and again, then this is when you're going to internalize it. This is when it's just going to feel right. So let's bring tip 9, 10, and 12 together by saying, find sentences that are specific to you, the English you need to know, and repeat them. So find sentences that are specific to you and repeat them. Now you can do this with a notebook where you write down the phrases and then you write them down again and you repeat them and then you repeat them again. But there's a smarter way to do this, and it's to use spaced repetition software. Apps like Anki. Again, all links are in the description, and I'll link to a video that goes through this in depth. But what you do basically is you enter in these phrases with audio. Then you repeat them. So on day 1, you repeat it 3 times until you feel comfortable with it. Then you repeat it the next day. And then 2 days later, 4 days later, 8, 16, 32, etc. Because we don't have to repeat something 5 times every day, each day, in order to memorize it or to internalize it. We want to be efficient with our repetition. We want to ensure that we're using the smallest amount of repetitions in order to remember a phrase. And that's what this software is going to do for you. So repetition is key. In order to internalize something, in order to memorize something, you need to repeat it. Now, speaking of repetition or repeating, tip 13 is to repeat phrases out loud. And this is one of my favorite techniques for learning English and languages in general. What you do is this. You find a phrase in English, a sentence, an audio phrase. You repeat it and record yourself. So you use your mobile phone and you say this phrase into your mobile phone or your computer and you record yourself. Then you listen to your version, which again, you might need to get out of your comfort zone. You listen to your version and then you compare it to the original. And then you think, okay, how can I improve the way I'm saying this? You give yourself feedback. You don't ask a teacher for it. Instead, you give yourself feedback. So you might think, oh, that sound isn't quite right. Or I didn't link those words together. Or I didn't use the retraction. My intonation isn't quite right. And the more you practice this, the better you will get at being able to evaluate yourself and give yourself feedback. And then, once you have mastered the phrase so that you're happy with the way you say it, use tip 12, get lots of repetition. Repeat it today, repeat it in 2 days, 4, 8, etc. So that you can practice using the muscles in your mouth to be able to say this phrase fluently and accurately, and then you'll be able to use it over the long term. And this method is not just practicing your speaking, you're memorizing grammar, you're memorizing vocabulary, you're listening to a phrase, you're reading a phrase as well. It's such a powerful method. But by speaking the phrase, it really helps you improve your speaking, your fluency, your accuracy, and it also just helps you connect with the phrase in a more meaningful way. We have 4 tips to go, so let's continue. Tip 14 is to find someone to practice with. To find someone to practice with. Because working on English on your own is great. Think about this as training, like soccer training, where you train with the team, you work on your shooting, your skills, everything else. But it's not quite real. But having a conversation with someone is real. This is like playing a match. And this is where you really just fine-tune your English, where you feel good about speaking with somebody. And then you also gain confidence because you notice that your English is improving. But it also helps you just get that practice that you need in order to use your English in the real world. So find somebody to practice with. Again, this is part of getting out of your comfort zone. And it can be difficult to find someone, but make it a priority to find someone. So overcome this obstacle. Use a link in the description where I give you some websites where you can find people online and also where you can find language exchange partners. And this is where you speak in English for half the time and you speak in your native language for half the time. So you're finding someone who wants to learn your language, but someone who speaks English. So make it a priority to find somebody to practice with and then get practice once a week or maybe twice a week so that you're committing to this conversational practice. Tip 15 is to commit over the long term. To make a commitment over the long term. And this goes back a little bit to your goal where you said, okay, I'm an intermediate speaker. I want to be an advanced speaker within 8 months. So what you need to do here is to have this commitment over the long term. Because you can have the best methods, you can have all the motivation when you're first starting. But if you don't have this daily practice, which is what we talked about, and a long-term commitment, you're not going to make progress. It takes hours and hours and hours and hours of practice to improve. And sometimes you're going to improve without noticing this. Not all improvement is easy to notice. And it might feel like, oh, I've not really improved this week. I haven't made progress. And if you feel like that, then think, okay, is what I'm doing efficient? Can I improve the way I learn English? And also think, all right, sometimes I'm going to have weeks like that, but I'm committed to the long term and I'm going to keep going. And in a month, I'm going to see an improvement. But you're not always going to notice that you improve. Know that improvement might mean just learning 20 more sentences this week. That's improvement. To know that you have memorized 20 sentences and you can use them. So focus on doing the right things consistently. 2 more tips to go. Tip 16 is to have fun, to enjoy it, to enjoy this whole process. Now, there are a couple of things to think about here. Firstly, having fun means doing things that interest you. So again, learn the English that interests you. Do things that you think are fun. So you don't have to read a book if you don't like the book. There are so many different books out there so that you can enjoy. You can enjoy this process. You don't have to watch the news in English if you don't watch the news in your native language. So do the things that interest you. But also having fun means smiling while you learn. When you're doing the sentences out loud, if you make mistakes, laugh, enjoy it. Know you're going to make lots of mistakes when you try to improve quickly. Enjoy it, have fun, smile while you do it. Let's say you're writing your journal in the morning. Have fun with this. Put on some nice music. Get your favorite drink. Get a pen out. Enjoy the whole process of doing it. So be in the moment with your English learning and have fun while you do it, which again means using the right resources so that it's enjoyable, but also just whatever you're doing, have a smile on your face and enjoy it. Number 17 is to be proud of the progress you have made. I think a lot of people don't spend enough time thinking about this because it's very easy to forget how much we've improved. And I think the reason is where we are now just becomes normal. So for example, I was writing down in my journal today, talking about how I was disappointed with the latest videos I've made on YouTube. Because on YouTube, it tells me where these videos are in terms of views related to the time that they have been released. So my latest video right now is 7 out of 10. The one before that is 9 out of 10. And then the one before that is, 2 out of 10. So that one was good. But the last two, 7 and 9 out of 10. I felt a little bit bad. And then I was writing down about how well my YouTube channel is going at the moment. Right now, I've had record views over the last few months. So I just took a moment to be proud of the progress I've made. And when I wrote this lesson plan originally, I wrote here, wow, 80,000 people have subscribed to my YouTube channel. So I wrote this quite a long time ago now. And since then, I now have over 500,000 subscribers. So again, I should just focus on and just take a moment to think about the progress I've made here. And this is what you should do for English as well. To think about how far you have come. To think about how much progress you've made. To go back 2 years and think, what was my level like then? And what is it like now? And to be proud of this. And a good mantra is, thank you, more please. So be grateful of what you have now, but also be ambitious and want more. Be proud of where you are, but want more. Okay, those are the 17 tips. Congratulations on making it through all 17. It is great to have you here at the end of this lesson. Now, I have something else for you because you made it all the way through. It's my free book, The 5-Step Plan for English Fluency. Now, I'll leave a link to this in the description so you can download it. And this really focuses on what we've talked about today, but in book format. And there are some extra resources and tips in there so that you can learn more with me. Now, I have a quick favor to ask. If you have enjoyed this and if you have found it useful, then can you do 2 things? Firstly, click the like button. It just takes a moment. Just click that like button. You can do that while I'm speaking to you. And then also click the share button and send this video to a friend or post it on Twitter or on Facebook. But just share this with somebody else or in a place where you think people are going to benefit from it. And while you're here, why not click a video on your screen now and continue learning with me? Okay, thanks for being here, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.